Welcome back to Four-Way Stop, and it is now time for part 3 of the 80s, the honorable mentions. We have so many movies to get through today, so we are going to get right to it. Thank you for coming back. Hope you enjoyed the 80s part 1 and part 2. And now we're just going to give you a ton of movies to watch for Halloween, which is next week. So let's get to it. The first movie on our list is The Fog. It came out in 1980, and it's by John Carpenter.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites from the 80s. This is a great honorable mention. If you guys haven't checked it out, go check it out. We're trying to fly through this list really quick because we have so many mentions, honorable mentions, and we probably aren't even going to have time to get to all of our favorites. But anyway, this is a personal favorite of mine. It kind of has this ghost story behind it, where these pirates, basically these lepers, are murdered in this way, which you'll find out with the plot. It stars Tom Atkins, yeah. A young Jamie Lee Curtis. It's a fantastic movie, though. It's one of those perfectly atmospheric movies for Halloween because there's this fog rolling into the seaside town off a coast in California. And people are getting murdered, and it has this great climax, a lot of great actors and actresses in it, and again, not to go into too much detail, but it's got that classic John Carpenter score to it. Very, very great, great suspense build up throughout the whole movie. Very eerie atmosphere.
Yeah, well, I mean, just the fact of it's called The Fog, and if you've ever had, I mean, we don't get a lot of like eerie, cloudy, overcast here in San Diego, but sometimes we do, and sometimes we get fog. And just a simple atmosphere of fog itself gives you that kind of creepy feeling. So the whole movie is revolved around that.
I would be terrified if I saw fog while I was yachting.
Yeah, that's the whole other thing. So anyways, we're not giving you too much details. We're just going to give you some quick hit points. Definitely check out The Fog this Halloween, whether on AMC or on YouTube or anywhere. So anyway, check out The Fog. All right, the next movie on our list is Christine. It came out in 1983. It's a novel by Stephen King, but it was a movie by John Carpenter as well. Christine is a movie about, it's pretty much the whole base of it is a killer car. Some kind of nerdy high school kid buys a classic car and he restores it. But like the car is kind of restoring itself, and then he's getting possessed by the car.
It's not a normal car.
Yeah, it's not one of them. It's one of them American cars. So, anyways,
it's a Trumpmobile.
It's a Trumpmobile. The Trump train. Oh gosh, we lost like half our listeners.
Yeah, sorry everybody. It's a joke.
Anyways. The guy gets possessed, and the car makes him do things. And I'm not 100% sure if the car is doing stuff on his own or not. But anyways, it's one of those movies that it's not campy, like funny, like that. There's funny parts, but it's campy because it's fun. It's a killer car. I mean, what more do you want from a John Carpenter movie? And then a novel that's by Stephen King.
John Carpenter, sorry to jump in, I was going to say, John Carpenter still does a good job, even though it's a car going around killing people and murdering people in horrible ways, which seems like there are parts definitely you laugh at in it because it's campy and fun. But again, John Carpenter is a master of horror. There's still parts that are really very legitimately creepy. Oh yeah,
it's definitely a creepy movie. I mean, you think of like, a killer car. It must be like from The Simpsons or something like that. But it's not just a killer car. It's like the guy who bought the car is becoming possessed. Like you see his deterioration.
It's almost like a Shining type thing. Yeah, where Jack is
exactly
with the hotel.
Yeah, so the car is like the hotel for the character that bought the car. So, anyways, check out Christine. It's definitely worth a watch. It's fun. It's definitely entertaining, and there are definitely some creepy parts. So check out Christine this Halloween.
Next on our list is Prince of Darkness, also directed by John Carpenter. Hey, I think I see a through line here.
Yeah.
We're starting off with some of our favorite John Carpenter ones. This was directed by John Carpenter, released in 1987. It stars Alice Cooper, among others. Donald Pleasence.
Donald Pleasence, yes.
This one, in a really brief synopsis, is basically about... it's like this group of college students or whatever, and some priest comes to this college campus letting them know that I forget if he's like an archaeologist or something like that, but anyway, he's warned by a priest. I think it's a priest who passes away in the beginning, and then he gets this book or this message that something evil is trying to enter into our world.
Yeah, from a different universe or something. Right?
Well, it's basically the Prince of Darkness, so Satan himself is coming onto the earth, basically. And so it takes place in this really eerie church, this old kind of church thing where there's something kind of like containing evil or containing the Prince of Darkness, Satan himself, in this weird bubbling jar. The way I'm describing it makes it sound horrible, but trust me, there are everything from possessions to almost like zombie-like, people where they get taken over by the evil, and it feels almost like an Evil Dead or like that kind of feel to it. Less campy, it's much more eerie and spooky. Yes. I remember it stars from the main star in it is the guy from Simon and Simon, that old TV show from the 1980s.
I don't remember.
The blonde-haired guy.
Anyway. Okay. So all I remember is that there's like some Asian guy in it that's like the total comic relief. And
he's hilarious.
I remember there's like a scene where like there's a monster or something's like trying to kill him, and he just throws out these one-liners, and it just makes the movie a lot more fun. It definitely has like eerie creepiness aspect to it, but it's still fun in a sense because you kind of get that comic relief. So it's kind of like
There's humor in it.
There's developing characters, so it's not just focused on one character. There's
Right.
other characters you could get involved and attached to throughout the movie.
Yeah, and as usual with John Carpenter movies, he has a great kind of beginning. It's like bookshelf scene
Yeah.
or bookends, where he has this great intro. You get into the meat of the story. It gets really creepy and really builds up this huge climax at the end. And then the bookend at the end is also kind of leaves you wondering what's going on too. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a must watch for Halloween for me because again, just like The Fog, it has this eerie atmosphere, great characters, great dialogue. It's a classic. Go check it out.
So Prince of Darkness this Halloween, check it out. All right, the next movie on our list is another John Carpenter classic. It came out in 1988, and it stars Roddy Piper, the late and great. It is They Live. This is one of those movies that has garnered a great cult following throughout the years, and I think a lot of it with like the propaganda of like the whole glasses and with like the consumerism
yeah.
and it's not necessarily hidden meanings, but whatever. If you haven't seen this movie is hilariously awesome. It's definitely a great movie, but there's definitely parts to the movie that make it kind of not funny, but over the top. There's a fight scene.
The fight scene in the alley that's like a straight 8-minute fist fight
exactly
for no reason.
And so it's just like that, and then the whole like the one-liners that everyone knows. The whole I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum. Yeah, and so it's like it's such a fun movie. I don't know. There's definitely creepy aspects to it, like the aliens or whatever they are.
It's not on the same level as Prince of Darkness or The Fog. It's not eerie like that.
It's more, I would say, a sci-fi movie, but it's definitely got horror aspects to it. It's definitely an entertaining movie that you should check out. Like I said, this is one of those movies, like I said about aliens, that definitely check it out for Halloween. But if you don't check it out for Halloween, it's definitely a movie you could watch out maybe throughout the year.
Oh, totally, I agree with that. And also, fun fact of this movie, it influenced, even though it's such a small cult following for the movie, it influenced everything from other movie makers and stuff like that, but also to video games. If you guys remember the original Bart versus the Space Mutants for the original Nintendo, which came out in probably like 1990 or something. You get those glasses you put on, and that's the only way you can see who are the bad guys, which are aliens.
Yeah.
That's from They Live.
I didn't even think about that. So there you go. So anyways, check out They Live this Halloween. All right, the next batch of honorable mentions are movies that are not necessarily our favorite, but they're definitely honorable mentions because they need to be on this list because they're Halloween and horror staples. So the first movie on our list came out in 1987. It is by Clive Barker, and it is called Hellraiser.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Hellraiser is definitely one of those movies that, we have, there's a phrase in horror called torture porn, and it's kind of like one of those, like the Saw.
It doesn't involve nudity or sex necessarily. It just means there's like a Hostel or a Saw type movie, things like that, where it's just there's torturous scenes of people being mutilated, body mutilation and stuff like that.
So it says the porn part. It's not like, don't think sexual about that, but it's just called torture porn because a lot of new movies, if you think like Eli Roth, he's big on that, or Rob Zombie or whoever, they're just big on that kind of disturbing, graphic, just people being tortured and bodily images. But anyways, so Hellraiser was one of the first movies that came out in '87, and it was one of those early movies that kind of focused a lot on that. The main character or the main villain or horror guy icon in that is Pinhead, and it's pretty much the main story. We're going to talk about Hellraiser 1 and 2, and both movies just revolve around this cube that someone found and like
releases the Cenobites.
It releases the Cenobites. It's pretty much they're from hell, and they unleashed it, and a lot of like disturbing images and disturbing things happen, and so the whole point of the movie is they're trying to send them back. They're trying to get them back away from like. Where they're at, the Cenobites is what they're called. Very disturbing movie. The plot is very simple. They get released, and they want it. The person who released them or the protagonist wants to send them back. But like I said, both movies kind of revolve around that. The second movie is more in the sense of the person kind of goes to hell and kind of has to kind of escape,
or their dimension, or wherever they're from.
Something like that. It's really
and also to be fair too, it's fair to say we didn't even finish the second movie.
Yeah, so for us,
it was that bad.
It was just, and here's the thing, not this. If you
not
like
bad
that
as
stuff,
it was a bad movie. Like it stunk. It was just really hard to watch.
Yeah, and we're more campy people. We like stuff. We could deal with gore and stuff like that, but it's just one of those movies that it's just like, not like S&M or whatever, but it was just kind of just like that. It was just too much for us,
it's bad when we can watch The Exorcist all the way through or movies like that, but then we turn off Hellraiser too. Just to give you a heads up.
Yeah. So, anyways, if you know Clive Barker,
he's a sicko.
He's crazy, but that's just his style, and some people like that. A lot of people like that style and everything. But anyways, Hellraiser 1 and 2 not definitely, but if you're into that, check it out for Halloween. It's definitely an experience. But yeah, I would check out Hellraiser 1 and 2. Not me personally, but
I
you guys.
I wouldn't again, but yeah, well, I don't know if you should either.
Well, I'll recommend it to you. Just don't recommend it to me.
Yeah.
All right, check it out. The next movie on our list is a personal favorite. Let me rephrase this. I wouldn't say favorite, but it has a special place in my heart. It is a little movie called Sleepaway Camp. It came out in 1983. So, anyways, Sleepaway Camp is definitely a really weird, disturbing movie.
Oh, no, it's fine.
And so, yeah. Let's just say it's one of those movies that has a killer payoff at the end, if you make it to the end, because I don't know if you'll even sit through the whole movie. There's a lot of disturbing scenes because it takes place at like a boys and girls camp and kind of creepy counselors and creepy...
It's Camp Crystal Lake, like the Friday the 13th series, which with just a horrific twist, though.
Yeah, it's really weird. The only reason I say this movie has a special place in my heart is because I watched it the night before my wedding, and I was kind of like freaked out. I'm not freaked out to get married, but yeah, you know, you get those wedding jitters or whatever. And so Jordan came over to my house and hung out, and I'm like, well, what do you want to do? Oh, let's just hang out. And so it
was super late, and I fell asleep halfway through the movie.
Jordan fell asleep halfway through the movie. I think it was on Netflix or something, and so I was just watching the movie, kind of just like not thinking about the wedding, kind of getting relaxed and everything. And then the twist at the end happens, and I'm like, Jordan, wake up, dude! Look at this! And then he's just
and
like,
I hate you for it.
And he's like, oh my gosh, it was the best. So, anyways, be warned, there are some disturbing, weird, awkward things in the movie. So, if you check out Sleepaway Camp, definitely be ready for that. But it's definitely
nothing can make you ready for that.
It's definitely campy, and definitely weird. It's got to have a cult following for sure.
Oh, it does.
And so, but anyways, like I said, it's probably not a movie I'm going to check out well, I might say it maybe one more time just to kind of relive that memory. But it's not a movie that really that keeps keeps in our library, you know, stays in our library. So, no. But you should check it because it's just it has a cult following. It's a staple. So yeah, Sleepaway Camp for Halloween.
Yeah, have fun with that one. Okay, next on our list is City of the Living Dead, directed by Lucio Fulci, the Italian director, and it came out in 1980. This is one where it's a little hard to explain exactly what's going on, but the basic premise of the movie is it has to do with zombies. So this town is being affected by some evil that's unleashed, and there's a lot of really, really disturbing gore and craziness going on in this movie. Lucio Fulci, of course, famous for directing Zombie 2, The Beyond, stuff like that. So you should check out some of his movies. It's one that I watched, I think, a total of 2 times in my life, and both times I watched it, it's not a stellar movie, it's not a great movie, but it's just, his movies have a following, because he as a director has a following, kind of like a Dario Argento or someone like that.
Is this the one with the eyeball?
No, that's Zombie 2.
Oh, that's Zombie 2, okay.
That's Zombie, we'll get to that one.
Yeah, so...
This one just, it has someone like, for a really quick one instance, is a scene where people see the spirit of this priest who I think kills himself in this town or whatever, and the priest is coming back to unleash evil on the town or something, and they see a vision of him. This couple is like making out in their car, and then they look out with their headlights on, and they see this priest standing there, and he's just staring at them, and it's like this like pure evil stare that he's giving them, and all of a sudden the guy looks over at his like girlfriend, and she's puking literally her guts out, like all of her testes just spilling out of her mouth.
Okay.
It's a messed up movie, dude. It's really creepy. It's got a couple cool zombies and the catacomb scene at the end of it and stuff like that, where they're fighting the zombies. But it's one where it's like it's worth it to watch once just because he does some really weird movies. Like his directorial style is weird, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's not one that's gonna stay in the top of your. You know, if you say you only have like 10 movies you could watch throughout Halloween season, it's not one that's really gonna.
It's not one of them. He just is a director that has a big cult following.
Yeah, and it's a movie that you just want to check out because you've heard so much about it, and so that's the recommendation that we're giving. That it's got a following. It's a movie that people like to kind of check out just to see what kind of style he is. And so if you have time this Halloween to check it out and you want to, definitely check out City of the Living Dead. The next movie on our list is Basket Case. It came out in 1988. And Basket Case, it's a really ridiculous movie.
Marty Lauer.
It's got to be just, it's not taking itself seriously. I'm just going to make that claim. The whole point of the movie is that it has to do with this guy, and then he's carrying this case.
This basket around.
And inside is his kind of like deformed, like, twin brother or Siamese twin brother, whatever.
Yeah, it looks just like him.
It looks just like I mean, he looks like a blob, like just a grind up meat with a like deformed face and like some
like
hands,
one hand and one foot or something.
Yeah, and so anyways, he's just kind of like it's his twin brother he cares from and everything. But the only thing is like the brother just starts eating people, not just starts, but he's probably been eating people for years, and that he's just like a monster. But the brother loves him because they're attached, they have a connection, and so the whole point of the movie is just the brother trying to kind of tame Basket Case and trying not make sure that he's not killing people left and right, while he's trying to live a normal life because he's
trying to protect people from his
exactly. So he's trying to protect people.
brother.
He's trying to protect people from killing his crazy Basket Case brother. But at the same time, he's trying to protect people from his killer Basket Case brother.
Dude. Think Killer Clowns from Outer Space level of ridiculous.
Yeah. And so the movie's really over the top. I mean, they made like 3 or 4 sequels. So
that's right, they did.
Yeah, so it's really camp. It's really fun. But that's what you're getting into if you're going to watch Basket Case this year for Halloween. So definitely fun, over the top. Don't take not a lot of creepy scares. It's kind of a creepy creature. But yeah, it's just a fun, campy movie. So
it's gross. Have fun.
Yeah, gross. Have fun. Basket Case this Halloween. Alrighty, the next batch of honorable mentions is some of the movies that we just love to see at night. That was a stupid pun. But anyways, it's a lot of the movies that have the title Night in them. So the first movie is called Night of the Demons. It came out in 1988. And this is one of those movies, it's total 80s. I mean, it's 88, so you're in the full swing of 80s nostalgia right now. It's just a group of high school students. They're going to a Halloween party at like an abandoned house. And the house is like possessed. Like there's like a witch there, and she like possesses the house or whatever.
Oh, I saw this one a long time ago. That's right. Okay.
And so it has like your standard characters, the jocks, the nerds, the really hot girl, the really nerdy, not so hot girl, the whatever.
It has Daphne. It has Velma.
Yeah, exactly. And so the whole point of the movie is that they're in the house, and they get possessed one by one, and I guess they turn into zombies. Well, no, demons. They turn into demons. And so, yeah, I was like, zombies.
Good call.
Everything's zombies, Whenever something gets turned into something nowadays, because everything's zombies, we're like zombies. But I'm like,
Back in our day,
it was
just
demons. Yeah. So, anyways, they turn into demons or Zemans. Anyways, so they turn into demons, and the whole point is, they have to survive the night. So once like the sun comes up, everything goes back to normal, and they're fine. But the thing is, they're stuck in the house all night. So it's kind of like a survival, like horror movie.
Yeah.
A lot of 80s camp in it. A lot of 80s, like, just, gore and campy gore. There is nudity and some kind of sexual stuff in the movie. So just be aware of that. But anyways.
But they are demons.
But they're demons. So, would you expect anything less? So, Night of the Demons, definitely, it's a fun camping movie. Like I said, just be aware there is some nudity in it and some sexualized stuff in it. But other than that, fun movie, campy. Definitely check it out for Halloween. Next movie on our list is Night of the Comet. It came out in 1984, and it stars these 2 Valley girls. I don't even know their names. So
the Wayans brothers.
The Wayans brothers. So yeah, it's 2 hot chicks. So there's these 2 girls.
Oh, white girls. I've seen this.
It's if you ever seen like a poster or like an ad, like a trailer, or whatever, 80s trailer where there's a girl in like a cheerleader outfit, and and then a girl like brunette. She's wearing like the whole like just acid wash jeans and everything. So anyways, the point of Night of the Comet is that these there's a comet going over like the planet or whatever. It's like, comet's going over, everyone's looking at the comet. So when the comet goes over, everyone disappears. Like everyone just disappears. So there's no one left on Earth, or nothing's going on except these 2 girls who are like shopping at the mall. So they're like, who cares about a comet? Ew, I don't want to see that.
I've got my dad's credit card.
Let's go shopping. I don't want to look at the stupid comet. So anyways, they comets. So anyways, they go outside and everyone's gone, and the whole point is that everything is missing. So now they're kind of like doing whatever they want, but at the same time, now there's these like cannibalistic like zombies. Now it's zombies, not demons, but like these cannibalistic kind of like weird zombies popping up, and there's like some weird scientists. There's a lot of crazy things happening in the movie. It's one of those 80s movies that like...
So it's a remake of the Omega Man.
Pretty much. So, no, honestly, it's kind of like
it sounds like.
With a spin of like zombies. So it kind of starts like the remake of Omega Man, where it's like, okay, that's a cool concept. They're kind of like paying tribute to that. And then they kind of just like, hey, you know what would make this 80s movie better? Zombies.
Of course.
So let's throw some zombies in there. And that's pretty much the whole movie. And, there's shoot 'em ups with the girls, especially the girl in the cheerleader outfit. So, I mean, it's really fun, campy. It's definitely one of those 80s movies that you need to check out for Halloween. It's a little more, it's one of those movies that's not really mainstream, so it might not be on AMC or anything. You might have to look for it on YouTube or anything else. So anyways, Night of the Comet. The next movie on our list is Night of the Creeps. It came out in 1986, and it stars Tom Atkins. The plot of this movie is pretty much, it's zombies or aliens or whatever, but it's pretty much zombies. And so the point is that there's a sorority house and a fraternity house, and the detective, Tom Atkins, is kind of investigating like these kind of things that are happening around the town, like people come back to life, kind of zombie themed things are happening.
Sounds normal.
Yeah, things supernatural or whatever. So anyways, the whole point or the whole climax of the movie is the fraternity guys are gonna go. There's like a prom kind of party or whatever, and they're like hooking up with the sorority girls, so they go to pick them up, but they all end up like dying or whatever, and they turn into like zombies. And so the fraternity guys are all
Sounds
zombies.
like prom.
Yeah, well, yeah. Sounds like a better prom than I had. So, oh gosh, the scars. So, anyways, the birds, the zombie fraternity guys are there, and the sorority girls are kind of like trying to stop them, and closing the sorority house. And Top Atkins is there, and just the staple '80s horror. So, Night of the Creeps, it's definitely there's not much to talk about. I don't want to give too much because we don't have a lot of time. But like I said, it's zombies. You got Tom Atkins, and you got hot girls in a sorority house.
You got guns.
You got guns, and so I don't think there's any like nudity or anything in this movie. I'm pretty sure, but yeah, it's definitely a fun movie to check out for Halloween. So Night of the Creeps. Alrighty, the next batch of our honorable mentions are movies based on Stephen King novels. The first movie on our list is Silver Bullet. It came out in 1985, and it stars Gary Busey.
Gary Busey.
Yeah. Gary Busey is here. Werewolf.
Mr. Joshua here specializes in pain.
So anyways, just for that fact alone, you should check out that movie. Gary Busey's in it. So anyways.
I think the first part I have to mention is this is the only movie that you wanted to watch at your bachelor party, Jesus, right?
That's right, you're right.
True.
Yeah,
that's
remember
true.
that? We watched that at your bachelor party.
Yeah, we did watch the movie at my bachelor party. I do remember it, parts of it. And,
And then it was all just a memory.
I'll tell you, and this is probably the best thing I can tell you about Silver Bullet. All I remember at the bachelor party is that I'm watching, we're playing cards, poker, and King's Cup, and whatever, and I'm on like my 13th drink that you guys keep handing me. And I look over at the projector, and I just see this kid, like, flying on a wheelchair because something's chasing him, and he's like, ah! And I'm like, huh? I'm like, what are we watching? So that's pretty much Silver Bullet. So
I think of all the the Stephen King movies, like, that are kind of just, like, the low budget, like, not blockbuster movies, Silver Bullet's my favorite. It's just so fun. It's one of those ones that I could probably show my kids coming up soon,
Mm-hmm.
Just a fun werewolf movie, like coming of age, the kid in his wheelchair. It's just so fun. It's
kind of campy.
Yeah, it's kind of campy. The creepy preacher, something about collecting aluminum cans or something in there. You remember that?
I forgot about that.
it's really random.
It's just really random.
Stephen King has a lot of really random things that he puts in movies.
Yeah,
Collect those aluminum cans.
yeah. Isn't one of isn't his sister or something collecting aluminum cans for the
like
preacher?
Gary Busey makes a living nowadays.
Yeah. And the preacher is like suspiciously has like one eye and he has an eye patch over him, and like you find out like the night before, or you didn't find out, but the kid the night before shot a bottle rocket into the werewolf's eye, and then suddenly the preacher shows up the next day and he has an eye patch on, and it's fun.
So Silver Bullet, pretty much, it's a werewolf movie, but it has campy characters, a kid in the wheelchair, Gary Busey, and definitely a movie to check out this Halloween. So Silver Bullet. All right, the next Stephen King movie we got is Cujo. It came out in 1983, and Cujo is, oh man, it's pretty much not everyone. Okay, we all love dogs. Everyone loves dogs, but we all hate.
Not a fan.
Yeah, we. Wait a second, but we all hate those dogs that
act all Cujo-ish.
all Cujo-ish. Yeah, what's that dog got to be so Cujo? And I'll tell you a story. I remember when I was like 9 or 10. I was riding my bike, and it sounds like the most cliche story, and it probably happened in the movie Cujo. But I was riding my bike, and this Rottweiler got out of his, fence or whatever, the house, and was chasing me down the street. And the hairs on my back, I'd never pedaled so fast. It was just like, have you guys ever experienced anything like that? No?
Well, no, it's probably because you had Del Taco in one hand and Wendy's in the other.
Well, yeah, but
you didn't have one hand on the pedal. You just had.
I can't give up this food right now.
I think I might have had a bag of Doritos in my hand. But anyways, so Cujo is a movie about I guess you could say a killer dog or whatever. That's
or whatever.
That's the basic.
Killer dog.
That's the basis of the movie. It's just kind of like it strikes the fear of dogs are loving, dogs are man's best friend and everything, but sometimes dogs can be brutal. That's the whole point. Dogs. You hear it in real life. Dogs can be brutal. Not all dogs are nice. You'll get bit by dogs and you get attacked by dogs. You say when animals attack or whatever. There are dogs that are aggressive and stuff like that. So, anyways, instead of giving you a long storyline of what Cujo is, the bottom line, Cujo is just about a story about a dog that's attacking his owner or one of the owners, and attacks other people throughout the movies. But that's the basic principle of it. You should check out Cujo because it's a staple. It's a Stephen King novel and a movie, and so there's a lot of great things that happen in the movie. But just for the, like I said, for the sake of time, we're punching these movies through. Definitely check out Cujo this Halloween. All right, the next movie on our list is Children of the Corn. It came out in 1984 and is a really, really creepy movie because it has to do with a bunch of creepy kids that take over a town. And their leader is called
Malachi.
So,
Oh, yeah, this movie's so creepy. It's to be honest with you, it's been a while since I've watched this movie, but there's something about like they wreck their car.
yeah, their car breaks down.
Their car breaks down, and this couple has to go into this town to get help. And
Adult couple.
Yeah.
They're not low because they're not teenagers or college kids. They're like adult. Like they're probably like in their late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, and so it's just creepy. They go into this town, and the only people in this town are kids.
Yeah.
And it just starts to progress really weird. Like they go into the town, and the kids kind of herd them, and
Well, they get to the town, and it's kind of like a ghost town at first, so they don't see anybody. But then they kind of start seeing, like, you know, not shadows, but, you know, people running or kids running, and they're like, is that real, or are we just imagining that? And then you eventually realize that there's kids there, and then they're like, oh, I found the kid, where's your parents, or where's your whatever? And then you start figuring out that there's no adults there.
and they have that creepy, like, I think the creepy guy that they have, like, the deity that they, like, worship or whatever for their cult is he who walks behind the rose. And it's just like it's so creepy.
Oh, yeah.
It's totally a play on like a Wicker Man type.
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's definitely a movie to check out for Halloween. It's a staple. Everyone knows Children of the Corn.
Wait,
And-
so they worship Nicolas Cage?
yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned?
I'm on a Con Air. Anyways,
I got face
that was by Keanu Reeves' Nicolas Cage impression. But anyways, Children of the Corn, it's got that creepy atmosphere because it's kind of like children are in charge. They're kind of, but they're not just like, it's not like good children that are there. They're kind of creepy and cultish and weird.
Sounds like every day of my life.
Yeah. We got with the kids again. So anyways, Children of the Corn, definitely, it's a Stephen King staple. It's a Halloween staple. Watch it this Halloween. The next movie on our list is a personal favorite. It is called Maximum Overdrive, and it came out in 1986. I think this was Stephen King's...
It was his directorial debut and his only directorial role. Like,
really?
This is the only one he ever directed.
So now Chris is our Stephen King, like, he's read all the books. Was this a book, or was this just a movie?
I think this was just straight up movie.
Okay, so that's why it's his debut. Okay. And so anyways, Maximum Overdrive, it's really funny because it's I guess there's like a comet or an asteroid that passed through Earth, and then what ends up happening is all the machines, or all the, like, I mean, not just electronic devices, but machines.
It takes place
like,
at a truck stop, right?
Yeah. But before that, like the intro, there's like the ATM machine or the soda machine. There's everything. Or what's the? Oh, we can't say the bad word, but the ATM machine. But it's Stephen King. He puts his credit card in the ATM machine, and doesn't the ATM machine say "F you" or something?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
And so anyway, so like all the machines are turning against their masters or whatever. And so the main plot of the story, it takes place at like a diner / gas station, and like
In like the desert somewhere.
in the desert, and like it's like kind of like a trucker stop or whatever. So all these semis and dump trucks and cement trucks and whatever are kind of on their own, and so they're kind of closing like the people in the diner, and they're not letting them leave because they're attacking everyone. So anyways, the whole point of the story is that's what it revolves. The people in the diner are trying to escape. They're trying to make it to, like, I guess the harbor, to maybe go into the ocean and escape everything. I don't know why the boats haven't turned on them, but that's a whole other story.
And it stars.
Mr. Emilio Estevez.
Mr. Mighty Ducks
yeah.
himself.
Whack!
We got
Whack!
to get away from these trucks. Let's do the flying V. And so I think this was actually his last movie. No, just kidding. But anyway, so that's Maximum Overdrive. This, like I said, it's a special movie for me because it was one of those Friday Night Fright Nights that actually got me into horror. And so I love this movie. A lot of people don't. I mean, if you look back, I don't think it's stood the test of time.
It's cheesy, it's over the top, it's
yeah.
corny, but it's fun.
It's fun. And like I said, for me, it's just a personal nostalgia moment. So definitely check out Maximum Overdrive this Halloween.
Okay, next on our list is Reanimator. Hey, this is a personal favorite. It came out in 1985. I believe it was directed by Stuart Gordon and stars Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton and a few other classics. But this is this is one of those kind of B-movie gems as far as it has that Evil Dead kind of feel. And it has a lot of great gore effects. It's a little disturbing, so just FYI for people. It's not to be taken too lightly as far as who you're showing this to or watching it with, but it's got some great gore and really funny dialogue. Jeffrey Combs is out of his mind in this movie. the way he talks, where he's this scientist at this, he's like a student at this university, but he's this ultra smart young scientist, and it basically the plot revolves around him being able to reanimate corpses with this extremely neon colored green fluid that he came up with, this elixir to bring bodies back to life. But kind of like in the vein of Pet Sematary, they don't come back quite right.
Yeah.
And so he ends up killing the guy who's his, I believe it's his teacher or professor or one of the main guys at the college. Anyway, I'm not going to give the whole plot or spoil it, but there's a love interest between his roommate and this woman, and then he's kind of in the middle of it, and it's it's hilarious. It's one of those movies where you will laugh more than you will be scared. So it definitely has that Evil Dead kind of campy feel to it. It's a classic. So have you seen this one?
From Beyond?
No, we're talking about Reanimator.
Oh, Reanimator. I just feel, I mean, it's been a while. It's not one of those movies that I've seen, I would say, in the last couple of years. But yes, because, when you said you Reanimate, I was like, are you talking about Reanimator?
Yeah.
So, it's definitely a fun movie. There's definitely some just disturbing scenes here and there. Other than that, it is very campy. Just be aware, like I think Jordan said, there's some scenes that you need to kind of just, if you want to fast forward, or just be aware of that. You'll
brace yourself for it.
You'll brace yourself for it, and you'll be like, wait, is this going where I think it's going?
Yeah.
Yes, it's going there. So just be aware of that. But you'll see what we're talking about if you check it out. But yeah, it's definitely fun. It's definitely campy. Definitely kind of like the whole, like, you just think like the mad scientist, kind of like, oops, did I kill this guy kind of thing? And
it's
like,
H.P. Lovecraft, so it's out there, just so you know.
Very out there. So, no, it's definitely fun, definitely campy. I think if it's not like your mainstream like zombie whatever movie, but it's very, like you said, H.P. Lovecraft's very out there, but it's very fun and quirky. Quirky would be the best.
You can tell
word.
they had fun making
it.
Yeah.
And so, I liked it. Like I said, it hasn't been a movie I've seen recently. It's a movie like I think we watched in the jungle a few years ago.
Yep.
But yeah, it's one movie I'm probably gonna have to check out again just to refresh my memory on the whole thing.
Yeah, it's kind of half horror, half thriller, all comedy. It's one of those where it's hilarious, dude. So I highly recommend check out Reanimator this Halloween or any time of the year because it's just one of those classics with a huge cult following. Jeffrey Combs is amazing. This is what garnered his following as far as the actor because he's just hilarious in it. So you got to go check it out this Halloween.
Reanimator, check it out.
All right, next on our list is another H.P. Lovecraft movie or script, which is From Beyond, which was released in 1986. Again, directed by Stuart Gordon. And again, stars Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton. So it seems like he almost like had two movies set up, and then within 2 years, he's like, I'm going to do this movie, then this movie.
Yeah.
The director, Stuart Gordon. And so he knocked out two of them in a row with almost the same cast, so it's kind of interesting. But From Beyond is one of those movies where it's really hard to explain. So hard to explain that my whole review of it is just go watch it. That's my honorable mention for this movie. It's weird. It's creepy. Again, kind of like Reanimator, a ton of gore effects and stuff like that, which
this
are really
one's
disturbing.
not as campy though, right? Dan?
It's still campy. It still has really dark humor in it. The loose plot is basically that this one scientist locks himself in this house and he creates a portal to another dimension, almost so there are plenty of movies that have that kind of story or plot line, but he accesses this other dimension. He gets kind of messed up from these creatures that come over. They're almost like these worm type creatures that come in and like possess him. And so Barbara Crampton and Jeffrey Combs go in to investigate to see what happened to him, which, if I'm not mistaken, his body parts are just splattered across the floor when they first come into the attic of this house where he's conducting his experiment. It looks like a Frankenstein laboratory. So it's kind of cool because it harkens back to the old Universal Frankenstein movie. But it's a really weird movie. Very disturbing. It's kind of going along that line of the Cronenberg kind of like body torture porn kind of like thing where it's a body horror. And so it's very disturbing. There's a lot of weird kind of gruesome effects and stuff like that. But it's one where there are scenes where, again, Jeffrey Combs, he gets kind of possessed by one of the things and he starts becoming more... how do I say this? Sexually aggressive, and he becomes really strange and weird and not like himself. So does the girl Barbara Crampton, and so they're all trying to fight this thing coming from this other dimension. It's almost like an alien type thing, and but it's really bizarre, dude. It's a really bizarre movie. It's well directed. It's well written. It's got a lot of humor, like Reanimator. Not as much. It's not as funny. It's a little more serious, but it's a fun one to check out. It's one you should at least see once to be able to say, oh, I've seen From Beyond.
So From Beyond, check it out this Halloween. Alrighty, the next batch of honorable mentions is actually some of our personal favorites that didn't make it in the part 1 or part 2 list, but they're still great movies. And this is actually a movie that we're going to spend just a little extra time on. It is a personal favorite of all of ours. It is a movie that was directed by
Peter Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
And
Lord of the Rings, King Kong fame.
It's a little movie we like to call Bad Taste.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Bad Taste is, I think it was his first actual feature-length film.
Yes, yes.
And so they filmed it, I think it took a few years to make because they had a few different times when they could shoot, usually as weekends, because some of the guys like on the cast or in the team working on the film, the crew were obviously had day jobs. So anyway, it was one of those where it's directed by Peter Jackson. It's acted in by Peter Jackson. He plays two different roles.
He was the zombie with the beard that like
he's the main zombie, which looks like kind of how he looks like nowadays, with the floppy hair and the beard and whatever.
And
then he also plays
stuff coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, and then he also plays one of the main leads of the good guys who are trying to stop the alien. They're not really zombies; they're aliens technically. Yeah. And his name is Derek in the movie. And Derek's don't run.
Which I never realized that it was Peter Jackson because he shaved the beard and the hair is different. So I didn't even make that correlation until you guys told me. I'm like, oh, that's Peter Jackson. I'm like, oh, awesome.
Yeah. The characters in this one are classic. The dialogue, it's one of the campiest movies you could possibly ever imagine. But the gore, the disgusting gore effects that they have in it, with everything from people's heads being chopped off and
vomit.
And eating vomit.
Did you eat a bowl of Chuck?
Yeah, yeah. Can you guess what I just had to do? You know what I said to do? Yeah.
But here's the thing. But the gore is not. It's not like we talked about before, where it's like the very disturbing gore. It's so over the top that it's comedic. Honestly.
Oh yeah.
Like Peter Jackson uses like. It's not even like the coloring of the blood he uses is so ridiculous too. It's not.
Oh yeah.
It's just over the top kind of fun gore, and it's just. I mean, this movie is so fun because there's 3 main characters, like protagonists, I guess you could say, and they're all awesome in their own way. And I think we each have our favorite, and it's kind of like so over the top. The action, the acting, the story in general, it's just kind of like it's awesome. That's what I love about Bad Taste.
Yeah, it's just so fun. It just goes so many directions, and I think one of the best scenes is who is it with the rocket launcher?
Is it Oz?
Oz, yeah. Is Oz with the rocket launcher? It's just, that's one of the most memorable moments of that movie. It's just so fun. Yeah.
So I think what's most memorable for me for this movie is looking back at where Peter Jackson started, and to see that whoever it was it Warner Bros. Or whichever studio that handed them the Lord of the Rings series, and they're like, here's like $100 million or $120 million, whatever it was. And you're going, from Bad Taste? That's where you came from? And Meet the Feebles and The Frighteners and some of those movies?
Yeah.
So it's classic because he's obviously gotten his friends together to make this low-budget movie. Their prop guns were made out of wood and plastic. He had to do digital effects for the bullets being fired with the muzzle blast, the muzzle flash, things like that. But the way he made it, again, is kind of harkening back to the Sam Raimi thing, where the Coen brothers were watching how Sam Raimi made movies. I think a lot of people, even after Bad Taste, is as cheesy as it was and stuff like that, they saw how good of a quote-unquote visionary filmmaker he was. Even with Bad Taste, where the gore is ridiculous, it's over the top, the characters are funny, the dialogue's amazing, but it's one where I can't recommend it enough to see it if you really like campy B horror movies that are not taking themselves seriously. They're really funny, but be warned, the gore is really excessive in this movie. Yeah. I mean, there are brains, their heads being ripped out of, like, with spinal columns and stuff like that.
Being eaten.
Yeah, exactly.
I have that's probably my grossest scene.
And the basic plot of the movie, I'll go really quick. The basic plot of the movie is that aliens are coming to Earth to harvest humans that they use for fast food on their planet. So it's like their McDonald's on their planet serves human meat.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And which is awesome. So just to give you an idea of what Peter Jackson did, the budget was $30,000 for this movie. $30,000. Wow. That's nothing.
And he made it in his home country of New Zealand.
Yeah, and it was a feature film that he made. I mean, it looks like it's a home video.
Oh yeah.
But and I think that's what he kind of got his not his start, but that's where people started to respect how he did so much. I mean, the movie's over the top and it looks
so
way
much
cheesy.
with so little.
Yeah, and even though it looks over the top, it's cheesy. It's way crazy, but he did so much with so little that I think that's where he kind of gained the respect. Right. And then he kind of gained that. It's a Peter Jackson movie before he did Lord of the Rings. So I saw Lord of the Rings first. and then Chris introduced me to this movie.
Of course he did.
You know, and so then it was.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, he's like, yeah, it's Peter Jackson. I'm like, oh, like what Peter Jackson? He's like, the Lord of the Rings Peter Jackson. I'm like, wait, the same guy did this movie? He's like, I'm like, oh, okay. And so then I started to see his other movies that he made that we're gonna talk about later.
Mm-hmm.
But Bad Taste is definitely fun. You're definitely not gonna see Bad Taste on AMC or any kind of local channel. So definitely rent it. It's not gonna be on Redbox either. So definitely you're gonna have to buy this movie.
It's probably on YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube or something. Or if you want to get it from Chris Keller, I'm sure he'll make you a copy. But definitely check out Bad Taste. It's fun. It's definitely a movie I would highly recommend watching with a group of friends, mainly guys. It makes it that much more fun.
Because you'll be laughing.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely for this Halloween, check out Bad Taste. The next movie on our list is another fun favorite. It is The Burbs. It came out in 1987, and it stars Tom Hanks, Carrie Fisher, Corey Feldman, Bruce Dern, and a lot of other great actors. This is one of those really fun movies. It's more comedy than kind of, I guess you could say, a scary movie or Halloween movie. It's definitely a mainstream movie that you could check out, not on Halloween, but since it's Halloween time, we would definitely highly recommend this movie.
Red Rover. Like Arco over.
little tense there, aren't you?
About a 9 on the tension scale there, eh, Ruben?
This movie, for us, it is so quotable because it's so funny. The whole point of the movie is that there's these like creepy. Are they German? I don't know. They might be like
German, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're like the creepy German neighbors, and
It's the idea of creepy neighbors moving in next to you, where they're digging like in the middle of the night, like at midnight. Rain's pouring and Tom Hanks is watching, and no one else around him notices this, but they're like digging almost like graves in their backyard, and something creepy is going on. And he's not quite sure.
It takes place in like the suburbs. That's what it's called, the burbs.
Right.
So it's like I don't know if it's like a cul-de-sac, but it's in the suburbs, and every house is like perfect, white picket fence, everything. And then there's just one house that's like dark, dirty, and kind of scary, and that's where the scary German people live. And so Tom Hanks is kind of like investigating like what's going on. Are these people like cannibals or killers or monsters or whatever?
Yeah.
And there's just so much funny things that happen throughout the movie, and we're just probably gonna just end up quoting the whole movie instead of even giving you an explanation about the movie. But that's what The Burbs here is. It's quotable. It's funny. It's a fun movie that you should check out. I'm gonna kill everyone.
Satan is good. Satan is your pal.
See, now you're chanting. You're chanting there.
That's how they get in here. That's how they get in here.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, there got the brownies.
Once they're in here,
the barbecue scene.
The barbecue scene. Oh, it's so good.
But it's in that vein of like I kind of think of it as like comparative to like a Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Where it's fun, it's funny, it's got some kind of scary parts. Like kids would be scared of a few of the parts, but the dialogue and everything, the characters are so well written and so funny.
Well, it starts.
Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
Corey Feldman. What's the lady's name? He's like, hey, Miss
So-so, no tan lines.
Nice.
Well,
the kid's a meatball.
So I mean, it stars Tom Hanks, who was like by this time he was starting to become like a megastar. I think Big was already out there, and so I mean, just the fact that he was in it in this movie. It's not as
Carrie Fisher from the Star Wars films, Bruce Dern, Corey Feldman.
So it had like a big budget, high, A cast actors in it. So it wasn't like your kind of scary movie that it's kind of low budget, because most horror movies they're not low budget, but they're kind of like second tier movies. They're not like really A-listers aren't going to be in Halloween movies or horror movies, and so this is kind of a different type of horror. I wouldn't say horror, but Halloween scary movie or whatever. But anyways, The Burbs, definitely check it out this Halloween. It's fun. It's like
technically listed, I think, as a comedy.
Yeah. So,
but it's like a Halloween comedy. It's a perfect thing to watch during the Halloween
exactly.
season.
So it's definitely, like I said, it's one of those again that you could watch throughout the year. But if you want something just a little safer, fun, and quirky, The Burbs is something definitely to check out for Halloween.
There go the GD brownies.
The next movie on our list is a movie that is just, oh man, just get ready for us going crazy right now. It is called Pumpkinhead. And it came out in 1988, and we all have a special...
Stars Lance Henriksen.
Which Alien. Yep. And it's just, this movie's got a special place in our hearts, so we love this movie. It's actually a very low-budget movie, but it's like a mainstream movie. There's a lot of, like, if you look at the movie Pumpkinhead, there's a lot of technical goofs that happen throughout the movie, like a boom mic could be seen, some other props could be seen throughout the movie. So the movie was not, I guess you could say, wasn't well done.
And it's funny because even when you watch it, like the creature effects and stuff, it's like straight out of Aliens.
Well,
like you see the like Pumpkinhead, and you're like, that looks like the monster from the Aliens.
Yeah, it's very carbon copy, but I actually think the monster looks pretty cool and creepy.
It does, yeah.
The storyline is pretty much it's almost like a Pet Sematary.
Yeah,
story.
like his
son dies.
He works at a convenience store, and his son's out playing, and some like college kids come visiting for the weekend or whatever, and run over his son with a motorcycle.
Yeah,
and he goes to some voodoo person.
You mean was it like a church? Like
no, it was like
the church of Pumpkinhead.
The Reverend Pumpkinhead. He goes to some like voodoo person, like this weird creepy witch that like summons the Pumpkinhead to kill the person that killed his son.
That's right. And so the whole point is kind of now these college kids are being attacked by the Pumpkinhead, and that's pretty much the basis of the movie.
And he has some kind of connection with the Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, and so then. Lance Henriksen, he kind of has like remorse towards like the end, and so now he wants to help like the college students. He doesn't want to get vengeance because he's like kind of forgiven them or who knows what. But anyways, Pumpkinhead is it's fun. It's definitely B-rated. It's not the most perfect movie, but it was fun for us. I think we just loved it because we started making up this idea that because there's a part that takes place in the church, and we just started making fun that there was
Reverend Pumpkinhead
because it was
for some reason he became the Reverend.
Yeah, that Pumpkinhead was the Reverend, and there's like in the back was anyways. But Pumpkinhead is definitely a movie that we love, and it's definitely it's scary enough that you need to sit there in Halloween because there are some scary parts, and the Pumpkinhead monster is actually kind of creepy.
Yeah, and this is notable because it was actually directed by Stan Winston. Stan Winston is the extremely famous special effects makeup artist who worked on everything from Terminator 2 to AI, Artificial Intelligence, Iron Man, Aliens, one of the Hellraiser films, Wrong Turn, a whole bunch of movies. So he not only did the special effects and created the creature of Pumpkinhead, he is one of the most famous creature effects artists of all time. So that's why, as cheesy as a movie as it is, like you guys were saying, it's a B movie, etc., the special effects on the creature and the creature effects, where it's standing like 10 feet tall and approaching the people and stuff, again, that's puppeteering, which Stan Winston was famous for. I mean, he's the one that made the Queen Alien work and Aliens and stuff like that. So the dude knew what he was doing. So even though he directed a movie, the creature effects are amazing.
Yeah, the Pumpkinhead monster, like I said, it looks kind of like an Aliens monster, but the effects on it are really cool. And it looks really creepy too. So, but anyways, Pumpkinhead this Halloween, check it out.